At exactly 11:47 p.m., a young woman entered a Bolt car in Victoria Island. 27 minutes later, she called the police. Her voice was shaking, terrified, desperate. Then she screamed, "He's going to kill me." The line went dead. Police traced the call. The suspect was arrested. The case seemed open and shut. There was only one problem. GPS records proved the driver wasn't anywhere near her when she made the call. Chinedu Okafor had worked as a Bolt driver for 4 years. Nothing about that Thursday night seemed unusual. Until he picked up a passenger named Amara. She entered the vehicle quickly, locked the door, and immediately looked behind her. Not once, not twice, repeatedly, like someone was following her. Chinedu noticed, but said nothing. For several minutes, silence filled the car. Then Amara asked, "Do you believe people can disappear?" Chinedu laughed nervously. She didn't. The fear in her eyes was real. Her hands trembled. She kept checking her phone, then checking the rearview mirror. Whatever frightened her was getting closer. Halfway through the journey, her phone rang. No name, no photograph, just a number. The moment she answered, everything changed. Tears filled her eyes. She listened quietly, then whispered, "Please don't do this." The call ended. Moments later she looked at Chinedu and said something strange. Something that would haunt him for months. "If anything happens tonight, don't trust anyone." Rain began falling. Traffic thickened. A trailer blocked part of the expressway. For a few seconds Chinedu focused on the road. When he looked back, Amara was gone. The rear seat was empty. Her handbag remained. Her phone remained. But Amara had vanished. 30 minutes later, the emergency call reached police. A frightened female voice screamed, "He's trying to kill me." Officers immediately traced the call. The caller identified herself as Amara. Then the line disconnected. The call came from her phone. The same phone still sitting in Chinedu's car. Police arrested Chinedu before sunrise. The evidence looked devastating. He was the last person to see her. Her belongings were in his vehicle. The emergency call named him. Social media exploded. News headlines declared him guilty before the trial even began. His life collapsed overnight. One person wasn't convinced. Investigative journalist Ifema Bello. Something didn't make sense. How could Amara call police from a phone left inside the vehicle? The contradiction bothered her. The deeper she investigated, the stranger the story became. Weeks later, a security camera captured something shocking. Amara was alive. Very much alive. Living under a different identity. When investigators finally located her, she was terrified. But her first statement stunned everyone. She said, "I never called the police." The room fell silent. If Amara never made the call, who did? Attention shifted to the one person nobody suspected. Amara's fiancé. David. The man who had spent months helping search for her. The man who appeared on television begging for her safe return. The man everybody trusted. Investigators examined his phone records. Then everything changed. David wasn't searching for Amara. He was hunting her. For years he had secretly worked with her father. The same father Amara had been trying to escape. The engagement. The romance. The future they planned together. It was all a lie. David's job had always been simple. Keep Amara close. Watch her. Control her. The emergency call wasn't made by Amara. It was made by David. Using technology to clone her phone identity. He wanted police focused on Chinedu. He wanted everyone looking in the wrong direction. And it worked. For months. Until one tiny mistake exposed everything. The investigation moved quickly. What began as a missing persons case had uncovered something far bigger. Months of lies, manipulation, and a conspiracy that had nearly destroyed an innocent man's life. Before dawn, federal agents moved in. Simultaneous raids were carried out across Lagos. Properties were searched. Computers were seized. And several suspects were taken into custody. Among them, David Cole. The man who had fooled everyone. and the powerful businessman who had spent years controlling events from behind the scenes. As officers led them away in handcuffs, one thing became clear. The truth was finally catching up to them. But for Chinedu, the battle wasn't over yet, because being innocent and proving it were two very different things. One person refusing to believe the lie did. Months later, the truth finally emerged. The evidence was overwhelming. David Cole's deception had been exposed. The criminal network had collapsed, and the man everyone once believed was guilty was finally free. As Chinedu stepped out of the courthouse that morning, cameras surrounded him from every direction. Reporters shouted questions. Photographers fought for a better angle. But Chinedu barely heard any of it. For months, he had been called a criminal, a kidnapper, a murderer. Now the same people who condemned him were calling him innocent. Justice had finally arrived. But some wounds never completely heal. That evening, for the first time in a very long time, Chinedu found himself alone. No police, no reporters, no investigations, just silence. Standing by the Lagos waterfront, he watched the sun slowly disappear beneath the horizon. The city continued moving. Cars rushed past. Boats crossed the water. Life went on. And for the first time since Amara entered his car that rainy night, he could finally breathe. His phone vibrated. One final message. No number. No name. Just 3 words. You were right. Chinedu stared at the screen, then smiled. Not because he had won, but because the truth had survived. The people behind the lie were gone. The innocent had been vindicated, and the shadows that once followed him had finally disappeared. As darkness settled over the water, Chinedu slipped the phone into his pocket and looked toward the city skyline. A city filled with secrets. A city filled with stories. A city where truth and deception often walk side by side. And somewhere out there, another story was already beginning.